We are in a discussion of AWS solution architect. So we are discussing different topics. So I'm starting a topic called storage, right? This is basically we're going to talk about uh, storage services and types provided by AWS, right? So that will be basically a block storage systems, object storage systems, and network file systems, NFS. So before we actually going into storage types in AWS, I'm going to give you an idea sort file systems available in there. So when I tell you the name S3 or NFS, right? Or EFS, uh, EBS, right? SMB, like that. What you are understanding by that? Like if I say it's EBS is a block storage, right? And if I say S3 is object storage, and then if I say EFS, right, elastic file system, is a file type storage, right? So let us find out what is the basic difference between these three storage, right? Okay, so the first one we're going to discuss is a block storage, right? We'll show you a bottom picture as well as, right? Okay, so data is stored in fixed size blocks with the unique identifiers, right? So in this like a hard disk, so sort of block storages, right? They stored in fixed size blocks. Let's say you got a room. That room is divided into 1 meter cubic uh, cubes, right? You put data into these cubes, right? And there's a unique identifier to identify that cube. Like you see in the bottom cube at the left corner uh, is one location, 1 meter, 1 meter, 1 meter cube, and you put something in there. Like let's say you're going to put your household cleaning items, right? So how do you find out where it's located? That's in that block, right? So you got a unique identifier. So household items are in there. That's something similar to that, right? So these block size storage, they got a sort of like, let's say, 1 megabytes blocks of data, right? And then what happens? Let's see, 10 megabytes of data need to be put into that box, right? And then what will happen, right? So that's divided, right? Uh, the file is split into 10 blocks of 1 megabyte each. So if you have 1 megabyte, so it can be 4 kilobyte, 64 kilobytes, right? Um, they are predefined sizes. They block them into predefined sizes. And then there's some sort of reference, right? So this is sort of, if you see that picture in here, block storage, you can see cube. So that cube, that format data is storage, right? They are high performance with low latency access. So if I take an example, EBS, right? Elastic block storages, we attaching into a EC2 instances. They are very bespoke database, boot volumes, and transactional workloads because they are uh, basically sort of fast access, high performance, like SSD volumes, right? Fast. So block storage. That's how the block storage are defined, right? So in the future, if I say something, EBS, elastic block storage, that's a block storage type storage, right? Then we'll go into object storage, right? What is the object storage? Object storage is uh, data is stored as discrete object with metadata, right? Okay, a simple way, this is not really, but it's just like a normal example, right? So each object is contain a separate data, right? Let's say you created one of your picture, yeah, right? You took a picture of your own. Okay, you think you need to get a identification or your driving license or something like that, and you got a picture, right? And that's a standard size or something. Let's say you name this picture my identification photo, and then you take a copy of that one from a digital copy, and then we're going to save it in there, right? So this object is, let's say you saved it in a JPEG file, picture format, right? That is a discrete object, right? It's a picture format. It got everything in there, but it has some metadata connected to that. What is this metadata? Metadata is something like uh, the size of the picture, when it's modified, when it is created, author, the blah blah blah, like sort of attributes. Like it's sort of a car, right? Let's say two cars, a Toyota car, right? And then another Toyota car. They both Toyota cars, right? And then what is the metadata, right? In the two different cars, how do you identify? So the other car, this car is automatic, this car is manual, this car has right um, mm, auto opening boot, this car is manual, something like that. That's attributes. So when you are this is actually this data is stored as discrete object with metadata, right? So they're highly scalable with flat namespace structure. So flat namespace, right? It's a flat. It's not going to go with the hierarchy. Hierarchy top, second level, third level, like that. There's no nothing. This like a flat structure, right? Uh, Example, the AWS S3, virtually unlimited storage. So S3 buckets, right? If I say you anything in the future S3 bucket storage, so your mind should come into a ah, this is a block store. Sorry, very sorry. It's a object storage, right? So what this object storage looks like? I separate objects, but they got attributes, metadata, right? So base for static content, backups, media files, archives, right? And you can have a log files, sort of things. So the this is the two major difference. So block storage and object storage. So S3 is object storage. EBS is block storage. So all their attributes coming together. When you design in something, when you're thinking, do I use S3 or do I use block EBS? So it should come into your mind. What is the block storage? Block size, right? Then what is object storage? Single objects, discrete objects with the metadata, right? So see that in the picture of this middle picture, you can see object storage, right? Uh, and uh, other than that, we're going to discuss a third type of storage here. Is a file storage, right? So the file storage is a hierarchical, right? Storage with folders and files accessible via standard protocols, right? So, so it's a hierarchical architecture, right? And it just let me tell you exactly, right? So they are like files, right? File storage keep data unit as a file, right? The size can be vary, right? And so it's a file storage organized data in hierarchical structure, right? Directories and subdirectories is accessed via a standard protocol like NFS, Network File System, and SMB, Server Messenger Block, right? So NFS, Linux and Unix environment, it can be accessed. SMB, Windows environment, right? So, so the file storage, this is like a network storage, right? You can share them, right? Basically, this is shared mostly using for mail. I can't tell you exactly it's only for sharing, but you can use sharing in that case, right? So if it says example, AWS Elastic File System is a network file system, right? And then FSX for Windows is a SMB file system, right? So, so this is the what I want you to understand in here, right? Uh, to get an idea before we exploring each into when I going to explain few different things. See that file storage, the picture, right? So it's like a hierarchical structure, right? Go on folders and then files and again another folder and again files and another folder like that. It go can go numerous different levels, right? So, okay, so this is what I want you to understand. Basically, when we exploring more deep into this AWS storage. So this basic idea is needed because when we're going to do any design or when we're going to answer any question, right? So what are the considerations? So basic things you need to come into your mind is so basically question might be asking complex scenarios. Regardless of that, we need to understand all right the first thing you possibly you need to come into mind, okay, what is suitable object storage uh, or EBS, right? Elastic block volumes or NFS. So these three file systems are there, and uh, then you will come into your mind NFS is mainly Linux environment, and SMB FSX is for mainly a Windows environment. So, what do you think? That's the first thing you have to come into your mind. What are the available options, right? So that's what I want you to understand before we going into AWS, right? All right. So you probably already, if you have done many other courses and other stuff, this is not directly related, but I just want to tell you a little bit things. You probably have some sort of devices like NAS devices in your home. There are a lot of NAS devices available in the market. You've probably been using many famous branded type with the two hard disks, three hard disks, or you can put more hard disk. They come up with the working like a storage in your home for your backup or anything, right? So NAS, network attached storage, as name says, right? Uh, network attached storage, a storage which is attached to a network, right? So we can access through sharing. What is the use? So it's a storage which is available through the network, right? Cat 5, whatever cable, or wirelessly, it's available through the network. So protocols normal. So architecture is file level storage server. So it's a file level one, right? Performance good for file sharing, right? Protocol NFS, SMB, CIFS, right? User cases, file sharing, content storage, cost, more economical solution. So in the if you want a sort of a little bit of solution in your home, you want to use some sort of storage. Maybe you thinking I probably need to have one of my storage. You keep your personal pictures, your family photos, and your documents, all other your movies, whatever you think you need to storage. You probably can use NAS. It's economical, right? The other thing is like business environment. I never seen this one in normally uh, in the home environment. That's storage area network, SAN, right? So SAN is block level storage network again. So it's a block level. So that storage is divided into blocks, right? And then blocks got the identifier. So the storage in a type of block. So your data is break into a size of blocks. So that's something like that, right? So let's say you got a block of 10 megabytes. So 100 megabyte file will divide it into 10 of 10 megabyte files and is stored into these blocks. Okay. So high performance, low latency, right? Protocol, fiber channel, high SCSI, right? User cases, database servers, virtualization. If you have a virtualization environment in your office, right? You probably have a failover cluster or anything. So you should have something like fiber channel storage connected with your switches, and then they are connected with the Windows machines, failover, something like that, or maybe VMware. So they are for businesses, not for homes. So cost high initial investment. So things you need to understand in here, as I explained, three different main things in there. So the block storage, object storage, and file storage, and then just your knowledge to know NAS is file level storage, uh, network attached. How do you define NAS and SAN? NAS, network attached storage. Storage is attached to network. So simple network, so you can access. That's the cheaper one. Storage area network SAN. SAN is a bit complicated, right? So AWS equivalent solutions, SAN like, right? SAN like Amazon EBS provided block storage. This is not SAN, right? It says SAN like. How do you just comparing? SAN like storage is EBS, right? NAS like storage is NFS or FSX SMB, right? So just you guys to understand when we going forward with this storage, I just want you to know the basic difference with these two file systems. Right. All right. So we're going to talk about AWS storage solutions now. With the knowledge of previously, we understood what is block storage, object storage, file storage, right? NAS and SAN. All right. So we get to looking into this solution they provide us. Provide gives us EBS, it gives us S3, EFS, FSX. These are the mainly storage solutions mainly focus on solution architect as well, right? Um, we get to looking into these ones deeply because this is one of the basic main areas, right? Um, in the solution. So storage, you need it. How do you economically use that, right? That's the story. All right, let's have a look. Storage services overview. Amazon EBS, Elastic Block Store, block level storage for EC2 instances, right? So block level storage. Amazon S3, simple storage service, object storage for any type of data, object storage, right? And then Amazon EFS, Elastic File System, scalable file storage for EC2 instance, mainly for Linux. And then Amazon FSX, fully managed file system for specific workloads, mainly for Windows. Yeah, all right. So we just giving this some sort of characteristics. Let's have a look what these ones gives a characteristic. All four different file systems available in AWS. So the first one is a EBS block storage, then S3 object, and then EFS file system, and then FSX file system. Right. Okay. Key characteristics. Let's have a look. So the first one define what sort of storage. EBS block, S3 object, EFS file, NFS network file system, and then the other one file server messenger block. So uh, file storage, right? Uh, EBS, what are the mainly being used? Mainly EC2 instance attached, right? S3 is highly durable. That's not for EC2. EEFS Linux compatible, FFX Windows compatible. EBS low latency, S3 is a regional service. EFS, multi availability zone. FSX, active directory integration. EBS, single availability zone. EBS is in one single data center in a region. S3, unlimited storage. EFS, shared access. FSX, multiple file systems. Snapshots for backup. EBS, S3, versioning. EFS, auto scaling. FSX, Windows, cluster, NetApp, ONTAP, Open Z file system, ZFS, right? So we can do let's see, I can discuss these things, what they call, right? Okay. So EBS is a OS bootable. You can use for OS bootable. S3 lifecycle policies. EFS pay for whatever use in the GB level. And then EBS, you can get provisioned IOPS, that's a performance measure. And S3 can be accessible through web accessible. EFS, performance modes. FSX, the last one is a high performance. EFS, elastic through output. S3 storage tiers. EBS, 16 terabyte is the maximum volume. So just a comparison, AWS storage solution comparison, right? So to understand last two FSX, EFS is a file uh, storages, file sharing mainly, uh, Linux and Windows. And because of the types, there are a little bit different in there. One is more favorable for Windows environment, the other one is more favorable for Linux environment, and then uh, both of them have a lot of scaling capabilities as well, right? All right, let's look into these things separately in the future, right? All right, so we're going to have a little bit more details, sort of a few more highlights on these things, right? So Amazon EBS, we've been discussing the EBS from the beginning. So block storage attached to EC2 instances like SSD. You can have SSD. Uh, you can have a HDD, mechanical type, or solid ones. Point in time snapshot. You can create a point in time snapshot for backup. They actually a low latency and high performance file system. Amazon EBS, these ones are usually used in EC2 instances for like a database, transactional sort of thing, right? Then we go to Amazon S3. It's a cheap storage device with the life cycle. The object storage with how many nines? I think it's 11 9, 99 point, I think the 11 in that. One, two, three. Durability. Multiple storage classes for cost optimization. So the difference between the other one is this one, you can have life cycles. I mean, Once your data is old, or you can do different reasons, but you can move um, according to how you access your data. If you're not using your data uh, very frequently to save your cost, you can move them into a different archives like S3. We can discuss the archive classes in the future. Global accessibility. So it's a regional service. We create regional, but can be accessed from anywhere. Virtually unlimited storage capacity. So that's not a big problem for us anyway. The capacities we are in uh, our own premises is a more better than more less than whatever these guys are offering. Okay, so Amazon EFS, Elastic File System Manager, Network File System, uh, multi availability zone redundancy. So this one is automatically multi availability zone redundancy. So very um, high available, highly available. So automatic scaling, right? You can use whatever you want. You don't need to spend much money initially buying a big storage or anything like that. So shared access from multiple EC2 instances. So the major difference these two EBS, EFS is a network file system. So you can share in between three or four compute number of multiple EC2 instance, but EBS not like that, right? FSX for Windows file servers, same thing, similar to EFS. FS for Lustre, high performance, right? FS for NetApp, ONTAP, and FSX for Open ZFS, right? Um, so we had to look a little bit different because the mainly asking these ones from the exam, which file system is suitable for these in the question. So just need to understand what file system storage according to your budget and economic and features. Is it suitable? Is it do this task, right? If something needed to access by multiple EC2 instance, you can't use EBS, right? It should be EFS, but then you have to looking into that. What sort of file system? Is it a Windows or is it a Linux? It's something like that, right? Anyway, we'll continue this discussion from next video. I think this is all for today. We'll see you guys from next video. Until then, thank you very much.